happening, YouTube? It's your homie S. Dot coming back to you with another video. Today's video is going to be a rather quick one because this deck hasn't really changed much since BT4 and its spawning in general in BT, I want to say BT3, but that is blue Imperialdramon. So this deck is a very solid choice for the current meta, especially for beginners. This deck is rather cheap to be able to build with everything, and you know, with everything's considered. And overall, this deck is just very faster, you know, as it always was, and it has some more efficiency in evolution targets, as well as, you know, the tamers. I have some really cool stuff in here as well that I want to explain at the end of the video. And yeah, just overall, this deck is a solid 1.5 to 2 tier 2 kind of deck. And you know, everybody knows and loves it. It's one of the most favorited, if not the most favorited archetype in the Digimon TCG. But without further ado, let's jump right into the deck profile. So of course we can't start off any deck profile without starting off with the babies. We have to start off with the 4 Digimon. When you have jamming, when you're attacking once per turn, you're able to draw a card, and then one Upamon that pretty much does the same thing, but your opponent has to have a Digimon with no Digivolution sources on your side of the field. Very self-explanatory, very simple. It's what it's always been. Next up, jumping right into the deck profile itself, we have, of course, the best rookie in the deck, the one you always want to see in your opening hand, the Vmon that has jamming. Best case scenario is to open with this. That's why you're playing 4 of it, especially. And, you know, Digivolve over your Demi Vmon, and next turn you can bring it out of raising, swing with it, get immediate value, and most likely live, you know, give or take a Spiral Masquerade or Eden's Javelin, etc. in security. But yeah, very, very strong card. Got to play 4 of it. Next up, we have the other Vmon. So this Vmon is the Vmon when one of your Digimon unsuspend for the turn, you're able to draw a card. So this gives you immediate value when you have your Blitz Omni or you have your Imperialdramon, etc. Very solid card. I hadn't been playing this card before. I actually was playing Straby in his place, Strabymon, that search for the hybrids. But I took some of the hybrids out recently, so I'm only playing these. Well, not want to say only playing these. Especially when you see my top end, I guess I can just spoil alert it now. Well, actually I won't. I'll wait to the end of the video and I'll make a V-line back to make a line back to talking about this. But this card is just very solid, and it helps you just dig through your deck. You draw so much and you're able to find your combo pieces to try to end the game as quickly as you can. Next up, we have 4 Electmon. Electmon's one of the other best cards to combo with Vmon in terms of, well, mini combo in terms of playing a Vmon, and then you don't want to Digivolve over your Vmon usually, unless you have, like, I guess the full line. If you have the 4, the 5, and the Imperialdramon, maybe you might, but most of the time you ideally want to see this rookie alongside with the Vmon, so you can Digivolve in raising the Vmon, and then play an Electmon, give them 2 minimum, and then, you know, pass turn. That way next turn you have 2 attacks immediately. So this card is very solid for a 2-cost option to be able to speed up through the ranks to get you a level 4 or 5, and then of course your Imperialdramon. And then we have one Gomamon. Gomamon literally acts as just a 5th copy of Electmon. It doesn't matter whether you play Gomamon or Electmon if you just care about aesthetics and what the cards look like. I like Electmon better because I love red and I love black, so I picked 4 Electmon over the 4 Gomamon, but definitely pretty much a 5th 2-drop that I like to have in the deck. And it has 3K. A lot of decks in this format have a lot of 1K bodies, and you actually live sometimes. And what ends up being valuable about that is your opponent has to now seek an attack into that rookie before you get another chip at their security. Next up, we have 2 the Gabumon. This actually was 2 more Gomamon, but I wanted to draw more cards in the deck as if I don't draw enough because of when I show you my top end, it'll make more sense when I get there. But it's a total of 15 rookies. Next up, for the level 4s, the champions, we have 4 Coilmon. Now this is one of the cards I was talking about, Coelamon, whatever. This is one of the new cards I was talking about from set 5. You guys, if you haven't been familiar yet, we've gotten the red and blue 1-star, 1 Digi Evolution cost blockers in this set. It does have 5K, so again, be aware of Nidhoggmon and Shoutmon when you're playing these cards. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You can also get got by easy, you know, War Growl, and then they attack and then Pigmon kill it as well. So this is the one I'm playing. I am thinking about going back to Grizzlymon. I'm not playing any Grizzlies in this deck, but that 6K threshold actually is important a lot of times, and throughout some more testing, I'll see if I want to go like, you know, 2 and 2, or even like just add, like make this like 3 and then do 2 Grizzly or something like that and play 5 blockers. But again, this deck is very fast, and you're not really trying to fend off attacks. You do have these there for some, but most turns you're trying to like burst and like get the game over as fast as possible. That's the premise of the blue deck. Next up, we have 3 Gorillamon. Gorillamon is a card that does dodge the Nidhoggmon and Shoutmon, so that's nice. And just the 1 cost to evolve is what you ideally want to see when you're opening hands. Normally, the bread and butter of most turns I've seen is, you know, Digivolving a rookie, Digivolve into a level 1. So whether it's your Coilmon or your Gorillamon, that's what you're looking for. And then the 6K threshold is actually pretty solid. He can, you know, even beat over some things, attack over a certain pesky Digimon, or even attack and force your opponent to crash with their, you know, their 6K blocker. So a lot of applications in that very solid card. Next up, we have 3 of the X Vmon. This X Vmon, the best case scenario with this is to, if one of your rookies live, you're able to, so pretty much, you know, let's say you're jamming Vmon swings, then you can Digivolve into the X Vmon to unsuspend and then swing again. You probably will die to security because it only has 4K, but this card just helps accelerate, and you pretty much get two, not pretty much, you do usually get two, security attacks into your opponent's security. Now, ultimately, sometimes you actually even finish the game with this. It depends on what kind of game state, what kind of board state it is, but 3 is enough. I thought 4 was too many. 2, I think, was too little, so we're at 3. Next up, to round out the level 4s, we have 2 Lobomon. Lobomon for game is the name of the game, just like Bushi for game. These hybrids, I think we got more hybrids coming on BT7, so it seems like this is just going to be a reoccurring theme for a long time. So get your Lobomons. Well, I mean, it is a common, but, you know, get your alternate art Lobomons if you guys want to bling out your deck a little bit, or at least the pre-release ones, because this card's not going anywhere. Lobo for game, it's hard to interact with outside of the Zord Defeat. Zord Defeat is the only card in the game now that can interact with Tamers. So outside of that, you're able to, and I play multiple Tamers in this deck too, so if I have multiple out, I should be able to Digivolve over this. Your opponent can't interact with it at all outside of blocking, of course, with one of their blockers. Next up, the bread and butter for the level 5s, the only 8 5s we play is the 4 Dino Beamon and the 4 Imperialdramon. Of course, Dino Beamon does have piercing and jamming, so it does have some synergy with your babies, your Demi Vmons. But of course, the one we really want to see is the Imperialdramon. Because of it, he has an inheritable. So of course, he has jamming as well, but he has an inheritable that allows Digimon with Imperialdramon in the same unsuspend once per turn when attacking. So of course, your Imperialdramon will be able to attack, unsuspend, attack again. You can even get an attack with this. You can get 3 damage just out of this one card if your deck is playing like it normally plays. If you have Davis up, you start at 3, etc. So a very powerful card. The Dino B can punish your opponent sometimes, depending on what the board state is. If they block with like if you swing with a rookie, like let's say you have a level 4 and you're at 3 memory and you have an Electmon, you swing with the Electmon and they block with their Unimon. Well, then you can Digivolve over to your level 4 for the Dino Beamon. You get rid of that body because you know probably a 5 or 6K blocker, and then you also still get to chip in and damage in, which is nice. And then if you have Imperialdramon, you can Digivolve into Dino B over into Imperial and stand back up. So he has some decent applications, but overall the Imperialdramon is the one you want to see. But we have to play 8 of these because I guess we'll just talk about it now. We are playing, of course, the 4 Imperialdramon himself. So you want to play the 8 Imperialdramon, or the 8 level 5s that you do, the Imperialdramons and the Dino Beef, because he is a 5-2 Digivolve otherwise over a blue or green. But if you're Digivolving over Dino B or a Imperialdramon, you reduce the Digivolution cost by 2. So you make it a 3 cost like normal if you have your Davis that sets you up perfectly to be able to get multiple swings with this guy. Keep in mind, when you do play him, you're able to unsuspend all your jamming characters. So that includes your, if you have another, Dino B or Imperialdramon on the field, or if you have Vmon on the field, that's best case scenario. Swing Vmon in, Digivolve over your Imperialdramon or Dino B into Imperial, stand both back up, get 2 more swings. If you have Imperialdramon, you untap again and then swing again. It just actually can get pretty insane. So what I was talking about earlier, alluding to the fact that I'm playing the Vmon and I'm playing the Goblimon, is the fact that I'm only playing 4 Imperialdramon. This is my only level 6. So if I don't see this, I can't win the game. I don't have a secondary. I do want to try Hexablaumon. I do want to potentially try to fit too. So if anybody is playing Hexablau in their deck as well, definitely tell me how you've been liking it in the comments down below, because I'm curious to try that. But I'm trying to play the Goblimon, its on play effect versus, I'm trading for a couple of 2-cost guys to be able to draw and rip through my deck as fast as possible, because I really have to see this card and then manage it as best I can to be able to get the dub. And then next up, if the game's not over by then, we have, of course, the cover card. Well, not exactly this cover card. This is the cover card, but we have some alt art. Shout out to anybody that, got any alt art to the sneak peeks, or the pre-releases rather, the ones that you wanted. I was able to get all 4, which is nice. They're not expensive either. They're only about like $20 each right now. Get them now before they randomly just go up double in price, in the future or whatever, because they're only, like I said, about $20 each. These are 2 of my favorite ones, and I have one other one I like, and there's one I definitely don't like. But digression aside, this card you're able to Digivolve over your Imperialdramon and get another swing in. So if the multiple millions of attacks you get with your lower bodies don't finish the job, he definitely will. So what happens is he's a 4 to Digivolve, and he has a new keyword, Blitz. If you're not familiar with Blitz yet, just a quick rundown of it. When you pass turn, so you Digivolve for 4, let's say you pass turn to 3 to your opponent, that'll be able to trigger Blitz because it has to be your turn in order to Blitz. But what he also allows you to do is unsuspend. So let's say you get 2 attacks in with the Imperialdramon. and he's tapped now. Well, Blitz with any other character, like in the Shoutmon deck, you can Digivolve into Shoutmon, but you can't unsuspend and attack again. But what this allows you to do is to literally be able to unsuspend, then get the Blitz, which is very nice. And then he also has a protection effect that comes up sometimes. He protects himself from deletion and from being returned to the bottom of the deck or to the hand. So cards that come to mind are Gaia Force, of course, is enemy number 1. We have Casida's Breath, which is pretty much enemy number 2. And we also have, what's the other card I'm thinking of? I guess Omnimon's effect, even though Omnimon, the original BT1 Omnimon, can just run over it. It does protect itself from Sword, so like they can't kill this and then kill something else. They have to attack into this, etc. One thing that's really unfortunate about this is unless you have a blocker, you're not able to protect him well from attacks. So that's where the Coldmons do come in. If you're able to set up a Coldmon to protect from their 15k body, you might be set to be able to get another swing with this if the game's not already over. But ultimately, very, very solid card. Next up, we have 2 Davis. So I actually went down to 2 Davis because I'm playing 3 Sora and Joe. So the reason why I'm playing 3 Sora and Joe, and I think this is really cool, is the more Sora and Joe you see, the better, because you gain 2 memory for each. And what Sora and Joe does is if your opponent, at the beginning of your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon without any Digivolution sources, you gain 2 memory. So imagine having 2 of these out and a Davis. You're gonna go from 3 to 5, from 5 to 7. And those times where you're looking for a Hammer Spark and you wish you had a Hammer Spark because you needed just a little bit more memory to be able to do some crazy plays, well, now this is pretty much your Hammer Sparks times 4, in this situation. Or even if you just have the 2 up, being able to start at 5 is very solid. So that's the main reason for that. And then of course its other effect is when attacking, on your turn, when you attack with one of your blue Digimon, so that's any blue Digimon, even your rookies, you can tap your Sora and Joe, or suspend it, and trash the bottom 2 Digivolution sources of one of your opponent's Digimon. So it's a pseudo defensive option. It gets rid of Pikmons. It gets rid of any of Digivolution sources that are very valuable to your opponent. Like I said, Pikmon, you have Angelwomons, depending on how many sources you're ripping from your opponent. You have Upamons, all those little things actually potentially add up throughout the game. And this is actually a reason why I want to tech a Hexablower too. So I need to try to find a space for it, because this in conjunction with Hexablock can all of a sudden just freeze the board, pun intended, because Hexablock is a big ice block, and I think that's very cool. So ultimately, I think this card is very solid for the deck, and it just gives it that extra oomph without even trying. And the Gazimons of the world, the Chumons of the world, and the other one, Gazimon, Chumon, and Terriermon can't stop this, because of course this is a tamer effect, so you'll be able to get your effects. So again, the whole point is to be able to just get that extra memory effortlessly, and to be able to facilitate your plays without having to worry, because you get a lot of memory. And the Davises are still obviously very strong. Oh, and then also, by the way, this is also still a blue card that you can Digivolve over Lobo, so you don't lose anything there. I was thinking about Takumi, because Takumi can help you speed your deck through your deck even more, but it's a white tamer and it doesn't synergize with the Lobomon. And at will, I want to be able to drop Lobomon whenever I feel like it. So ultimately, I think this ratio is fine. I think you can still do 3 Davis and 4 Sora Joe, but I think, again, the more of these you see, the better versus the Davises. And last but not least, of course, you guessed it, none other than Hammer Spark. So imagine having Sora and Joe's up, by the way, and then having Hammer Spark. If you even have just one of each, Davis and Sora and Joe, you start at 5, you play Hammer Spark, you'll go to 6. 6 is the magic number when you have a level 4 out, because you Digivolve with level 5, that's 3 costs. Then you Digivolve in, well, you're probably attacking. Then you Digivolve into Imperial, which is puts you at 0, and then you still can actually potentially Omnimon for game. So I think that's another reason why Sora and Joe, even just having one of them alongside of Davis, is very important, because if you do have a Hammer Spark, getting to that 6 threshold is way more important than a 5, because 5 will make you pass turn, because you go 5 to 2, then 2 to 0, or to 1 on their side. But of course, Hammer Spark is always Hammer Spark, very good card. You can still play this card even if they do have it. Well, actually, I take that back. You cannot. There was a what was I thinking of? I think, you know what? Don't mind me. So overall, this card is just obviously very solid, and you can't play less than 4 in this deck, and yeah, definitely one of the strongest cards in the deck. And of course, seeing in the security is always nice too. This is also another one of your defensive options. There's really not a lot of destruction in here or attack boost. That's one of the weaknesses of this deck, but of course, its weaknesses are supplemented by the fact that it has jamming and it's very fast. So of course, you can't have it all. If this deck had even a way to gain a 1000 attack boost from Inheritables that was worth playing, this deck would probably be, I won't say too good, but I mean, making your Omnimons 15 and him even 13 would be OD and really broken. But the deck is very good already, good enough. Excuse my son in the background, he's excited. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Try this out. Let me know how you're trying it out, and how you've been having success potentially, or even failures with the deck, and things you potentially want to change about the deck. Leave your comments down below. I definitely will try to get back to you, all you guys. And I appreciate all the recent love on the channel. I've been getting a lot of love and been having a lot of growth. And, you know, I appreciate that. I'm blessed and I'm very humble. And I will keep throwing more content at you guys. I also want to start a little series every week. I want to do actually two different series. One I'm not going to talk about yet. And the other, I actually want to do something simple, a Digi matchup of the week. So a Digi matchup of the week is something where I ask you guys, what matchup would you guys like me to get on the channel? And even if I can't get one of my friends to verse me in real life and get that on the channel for you guys, I'd like to at least get it through webcam. So keep in mind, I might have to just get it through webcam, but I at least want to do a matchup of the week for you guys, at least once a week, maybe once every other week. But yeah, so if you guys have made it to this far in the video and have an idea for a matchup you would like to see, well then maybe it won't even involve me playing. Maybe I can have 2 other friends that have, you know, some other decks built, because I don't have access to build every single deck. But if you want to see something specific, I'll try to get the matchup for you guys, or at least you can see one deck in action versus whatever deck, you know, in the exhibition match, and we'll go from there. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, guys and girls, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Got a lot more content I'll be throwing at you, and I'm excited for the future of the Digimon TCG and for this BT5 meta, and I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. So with that, I'm gonna head up out of here. You guys know what it is. Have a great day and or night whenever you're catching this video. This is your homie S.TCG heading out. Peace.